Take my hand, take my whole life too. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to go through 24 books that I would love to read in 2024. So I have excluded a lot of things. I haven't included manga because I already have a full-on list of all the manga series that I'm binging this year. I haven't included any future anticipated releases. I'm only focusing on books that I already own that I can just pick off the shelf. I haven't included any sequels to series that I would love to continue. I think that deserves its own list. Maybe something like 12 series that I plan on continuing in 2024 or something like that. Definitely not 24 series in 2024. That's just ridiculous. And I could have cheated this list a little bit as well by including some of the books that I'm already reading right now, some of the books that I'm reading next week, but I decided not to. So really this list is for, like, I guess February onwards. Also, we will revisit this video a year from now, and if I haven't read all the books that are on this list, I have to unhaul them if I don't read them by the end of this year. You know, just as a little bit of a cheeky incentive to actually read these, and it's not like just a TBR list that I'll never get to. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into my 24 books for 2024. I've got this split in middle grade, classic, and then we go into like the young adult and the adult books. So we're starting off with a middle grade. Kitty by Elle McNichol, and I know this is an anticipated book because it's not really out yet, but I do own a physical ARC copy of it, so it's going on this list. This comes out on the 4th of April. It is a prequel to A Kind of Spark. Elle McNichol's books have the best neurodivergent rep I've ever seen in any kind of book, from young adult to middle grade to adult, just period. Elle McNichol writes the best neurodivergent characters. And Kitty is the older sister of Addie, who was the protagonist of A Kind of Spark. And I'm excited to see what Kitty got up to before A Kind of Spark because she was one of my favourite characters. So yeah, really excited to read it. Cannot believe I haven't got to Jamie Littler's Auroraxbeam yet. I feel like I'm trying to wait for the entire series to come out before I kind of pick it up. Mainly because Frostheart, which is Jamie Littler's first series, is my favourite middle grade series of all time. I freaking love those books so much. And this is the start of a new series, so I've kind of been putting it off a little bit as well because my hopes are astronomical, I'm not gonna lie. And I mean, I don't think it will disappoint me at all because it's Jamie Littler, his illustrations are gorgeous, his narratives are gorgeous, but I'm a little bit scared. We follow Juniper Bell, and she lives in a city that is kind of controlled by arcanists, and they have power and control over magic. Juniper is a thief as well, and she's stolen this relic that explodes and unleashes this sort of demonic being that also gives Juniper Bell some powers. So I think it sounds absolutely awesome. The illustrations are 10 out of 10. It has to be read by the end of this year, or I can't call myself a Jamie Littler fan. The Thief Who Sang Storms by Sophie Anderson, and I don't know why I haven't read this one yet either. It's been out for a couple of years. Sophie Anderson is one of my favourite middle grade authors, and this is the last one that I need to read, and I keep putting it off and off and off, and I just need to do it. I just need to read it. So this follows Lynette, and she can sing magic, and her and her father are banished to an island or like this kind of swamp place because they're not allowed to use magic. However, Lynette's father is taken, so she goes on this adventure to save her father. Sophie Anderson knows how it took my heartstrings, so this is gonna have to get read as well. Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest. I really need to read Robin Hood. I had this idea of going to Sherwood Forest and maybe reading that while I'm there. I mean, it might not happen for a good few months. Still got the last of my taxes to pay, good grief. But there are places at Sherwood Forest that I would be able to go and read this. So I think I'm gonna do that. I kind of love the story of Robin Hood, but I've never actually read the physical story that inspired the films and the movies of Robin Hood. I love Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And I really do like the animated Disney film as well. So I really want to get to reading The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood by Howard Pyle. Robin Hood is someone who steals from the rich, gives to the poor. Another sort of children's classic is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. And I've been meaning to read this one for years too, and I just keep putting it off. I think mainly because I have a lot of friends who say this is their favourite children's classic of all time. And that's a lot of pressure. I don't really want to read it and not like it and have people hate me, essentially. So I've been, you know, holding it off. I might wait until the autumn time to read this because it looks very autumnal, or at least the book version of it that I have looks autumnal, and I know absolutely nothing about it. Nothing. Doesn't Anne have red hair? I think that's the only thing that I know. Okay, I'm definitely trying to get more into my classics this year as well. I keep saying that every single year. And I think The Magic Toy Shop by Angela Carter is a classic, right? This one follows someone called Melanie who goes to live with her aunt, uncle, and cousins. And her uncle makes these life-size puppets, I think. Yeah, he makes them in his workshop. And they are uncannily lifelike. I've heard that it's kind of gothic, So I really want to go with that vibe. Actually, my next two books are gothic also, so I think there's going to be some kind of gothic vlogger coming. The Beetle by Richard Marsh. This one I think might be perfect for around about November time when I go to Egypt, because this one is about some kind of scarab or beetle that comes from ancient Egypt. It is a gothic classic, even at one point outselling Dracula in Victorian England. What? Yeah, there was a creature from the depths of ancient Egypt, neither human nor insect, bent on revenge for crimes committed against the disciples of a centuries-old cult, and wholly without mercy. Oh my god, I just burped there. It's a thrilling horror novel of mesmerism, murder, and shape-shifting terror. The Beetle caused a sensation in late Victorian England. Come on, I mean, it's gonna have to be read in November when I go to Egypt, I think. I might read this on the plane. It might scare me. I might get the plane back home, but you know. And then another gothic one is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. But also the fact that I will be reading all of the Bronte sisters' works in 2024. I was supposed to do it last year, but I ran out of time. But I'm making a conscious effort this year to read all of the Bronte sisters' works in the same vein as my Jane Austen vlog from nearly 2 years ago now. And I've never read Wuthering Heights before, so I think this one is the one that I'm most excited to read. I know a lot of people do love it, but I also have a friend who I messaged literally I think last week about it, and she doesn't really like it, so I'm like, well, this is going to be interesting. I can't tell you anything about it. It doesn't have anything on the back really, just she was a wild, wicked slip of a girl. She burned too bright for this world. I mean, that sounds amazing, but that gives me nothing. I'm going to try and blast through as much Agatha Christie as possible. I just have 5 Little Pigs here as one that I think is going to be a pretty good one to read. It's one that I got a while back based on recommendations, and it's about time to read it. I do solve-alongs with my patrons. We literally just did one last night. So much fun. But I can't just wait for every single solve-along for me to read an Agatha Christie book. So I'm going to put some Christie books aside that I can read myself, and then obviously keep some for solve-alongs. And this is one that I think I'm just going to read myself at some point. This one is about a girl who turns 21, and when she was 5, her mother poisoned her father. However, she believes that her mother is innocent. She enlists Poirot to re-examine the case 16 years later and interview the original suspects and see if her mother really was innocent or not. It's definitely the Agatha Christie book that I own physically that I'm probably the most interested in reading outside of a solve-along, but I will still vlog my experience reading it, of course. So more Christie in 2024, that's my goal. So I will probably die during the making of this vlog, but I do have some Blair Witch Project books, and this is the first one, The Death Card. These were released as canon, I guess, for the original Blair Witch movie in the early 2000s. It's written by Kate Merrill, but the character in this is Kate Merrill, and I think they're telling the story of them trying to discover the truth about the Blair Witch. So it kind of has that true story-esque feeling of the movie, which I think would be really interesting in a book format. Oh wait, hang on. Case File 5, The Death Card. Okay, I think this is book 5. I don't even think this is book 1. Okay, so whatever book 1 is, I will read that one. I'll try and read a few, but I do want to go camping in the middle of the woods while reading those books. So, wish me luck. I am terrified of camping and I'm probably going to die. I've already mentioned, but Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot. I really do want to read all the Princess Diaries books this year, and I'm kind of planning on doing it in February. I mentioned this in my recent book haul too, because I got all of the books very cheap. I love the movies so much with Anne Hathaway and Julie Andrews, so I really wanted to get into the books. There was a vlog that Drink It By My Shelf did, I think 3 or 4 years ago, reading all of the Princess Diaries books, and it sounds like such a fun time, and I'm just here for fun and entertainment, more so than anything else. I don't think I'm gonna get anything literary out of this, but as long as I have a blast reading them, I can't complain really. But yeah, we follow Mia, who discovers that she's a princess from her grandmother, who she doesn't really get to see much. In the same vein as that, I also have the Lion Game books, which I've recently been collecting. There's only 6 of them, so it's gonna be a really easy series to read through. I used to love the TV show of the Lion Game. It's written by Sarah Shepard, who also wrote the Pretty Little Liars books. And I did do a vlog reading all of Pretty Little Liars, but that was 18 books in that video. That's way too much. Way too much. And to be fair, the first 8 were actually pretty decent. So 6 books in this series is the perfect length. I'm going to read them all at some point. But from what I remember from the TV show is it had twins. There were twins, and I think one of them might, you know, die or something, and then the other one replaces them. Or am I thinking of Ringer? The TV show with Sarah Michelle Gellar. Okay, so I don't actually know what this is about anymore. I do want to rewatch the TV show at some point. I used to bloody love it. Okay, so the more normal books now. I have Murder in the Family by Cara Hunter. This one is a one that you can solve yourself. So there's one body, 6 experts. Can you solve the case before they do? It's told in different media formats. So you have transcripts from interviews, you have maps and things from the crime scene, media articles, diagrams, you know, the whole bibbly-bobbly bang. I want to read this and try and maybe solve it before they do. I don't know if I should do it as a video or just read it for fun, but it's about a cold case that happened in London in October 2003. Somebody was found dead, but nobody was ever, you know, convicted of the crime. So we are examining an old case in this book. I just think it's gonna be so much fun. I also want to get back into reading some Stephen King books. So I do have Salem's Lot, which I have put on my TBR in the past. I think maybe back in 2021 or 2020, I was supposed to read this and I just didn't do that. And I have read a few Stephen King books at this point, but there are some, you know, classic, iconic ones that I haven't even touched yet. I've never even seen an adaptation of this, so I don't know what in the world happens. I think there might be, yeah, vampires following a successful writer who goes to this New England town, finds out that vampires exist. I don't know. A pretty random one is All Hallows by Christopher Golden. This one I picked up based on the cover as I was browsing Waterstones, and I love the fact that it's set on Halloween night in 1984. So anything to do with the 80s and the 90s, I want to be all in for. I want to be all in on All Hallows. I believe this is set on a street where there are 4 weird children knocking on people's doors, you know, trick-or-treating, but the families on that street have their own kind of problems going on or something. I think maybe something scary and supernatural might be happening at the same time. Like, what are these 4 kids doing? Like, I don't know. Oh, okay, actually, the children who are knocking on each door are begging the neighborhood kids to hide them to keep them safe from the cunning man. Who is this cunning man? I really want to get to Kindred by Octavia A. Butler. I've heard fantastic things about this one, and I can't believe I haven't got to it yet, but it has been on my shelf for a little while. I believe there is a guy called Rufus who, whenever his life is in danger, he is able to summon a woman called Dainya, and she saves his life over and over and over again. Each time Dainya saves him, the more aware she is of her own life might be over before it's even begun. Essentially, 2 people bound by blood, and the implications of that too. The less you know, the better, I think. I've had The House Witch by Delamac for a little while, and this one looks quite cozy, you know. It kind of gives me Legends and Lattes vibes in a little way. We follow someone called Finley, who shows up mysteriously one day by the staff of the king and queen of this kingdom, and so he is kind of incorporated into the royal staff, and it turns out that Finley is a witch with powers, and he serves dinner and things like that. So I'm all for a cozy fantasy. It also says fantasy, romance, and mystery. So if it can tick every box, then fantastic. It is a bit big though, but that's fine because I've got bigger books coming. Next I have Forged by Blood by Ihigbo Akosen. My friend Jessie was recently reading this in a couple of reading sprints that we did a few weeks back now, and it just sounded so interesting to me, so I knew I had to put it on this list. This one follows Demi, and I believe there is a betrayal of her family that cost her her mother's life. So along with Demi's blood magic, I believe she goes on this revenge mission. She's going to claim justice for her mother, her people, and it just sounds like it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I am in love with the cover of this book. It is just so beautiful. In my effort to read more adult fantasy in 2024, I have The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker, and I got these in the Broken Binding box subscription thing that I have, and that felt like a sign to me because I've had my eye on these for a very long time, but I've been too scared to read them. But I need to stop being scared of adult fantasy. I end up loving it when I do read them though, that's the thing. This one is set in the 100 Isles where their ships are made from the bones of dragons. Dragons have apparently disappeared for centuries, however the first dragon in a long time has finally been spotted amongst all of this war that is going on. And thus it sets off this sort of race to capture this dragon, because whoever captures this dragon will get eternal glory or something like that. My friend Jade absolutely loves The Art of Prophecy by Wesley Chu, and I think I will love it too. So there is a prophecy that Wen is the chosen one, the one to bring down the Khan and save the kingdom. However, it turns out the prophecy is wrong. Wen isn't the chosen one. I believe we have this unlikely band of heroes that kind of rise up in order to save the kingdom, so I don't know where we go from there, but if my bestie Jade loves it, it's gonna be a good one. I need to read more R.F. Kuang books because I read The Poppy War and loved it. Haven't continued the series after that, which might be a little spoiler for what will end up being in my 12 series for 2024. But Yellowface by R.F. Kuang is a standalone. This one follows an author who is very jealous of her friend because her friend has all of these amazing book deals skills and all this stuff going on for her. Whereas, what's her name? June. Yeah, June is the main character. She doesn't have really much anything. But when her friend Athena dies, she steals her manuscript and pretends it's hers in order to publish it and get that success that she feels she deserves. So I think this will be like a really interesting one to read, especially to do with like the publishing industry and racism and everything that Auroraxbeam is like so great at writing. I was supposed to read this ages ago as well. I'm so late on the hype with this one. I'll get there eventually. I'm so excited to read Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Sugimura, and this one is mainly because a booktuber I absolutely love and adore really loves and adores this book too. So I might try and read this one for one of those I have to like my friend's favorite books or I unsubscribe from their channel episodes that I do. This one is set in a neighborhood in Tokyo and 7 different people wake up to find their mirrors shimmering. Each of these people touch the mirror and get transported into this lush, amazing castle. There is a taskmaster there who wears this mask and is called the Wolf Queen, and these 7 people have to try and uncover the secrets of this castle. I think this one might be more literary than I'm used to, and that's fine. Gavin reads it all. That's my channel name, so I might as well read it all. This one's really random, but Ghost Girl Banana by Wiz Wharton. I'm mainly picking this one not just because of the name, but I picked it up while I was book shopping in London with Alli from Hardback Order, and it just instantly stood out to me. So in 1966, Suk-yin is exiled from where she lives to live in London, and I don't know if we find out why, but in 1997, her daughter Lily, she ends up getting named in this stranger's will in Hong Kong, and so Lily, her daughter, she ends up going on this pilgrimage to Hong Kong to find out what's going on. I don't think I've heard anyone talk about this, at least not that I know of, and I just absolutely adore the name. Ghost Girl Banana, like what does that mean? You know? So very intrigued. And finally, I have The Book of the Most Precious Substance by Sarah Gran. The first thing I thought of with this book, at least one of the things that someone told me, I don't know if it's true, is that if you deposit on this book, it does something. That is all I knew about it. And it might be false. It might not even be true. Yeah, a 17th century manual, rumored to be the most powerful occult book ever written. And so many wealthy people are willing to pay Lily a fortune to track it down. And she goes from New York to New Orleans to Munich to Paris. So like this is like another amazing adventure story apparently. But yeah, it was the whole idea about the book thing and what you do with it to, I guess, uncover the secrets of it. You know, that intrigues me a lot. And I love Sarah Gran. I love Come Closer that they wrote. Oh, just such a good book. I loved it. So I'm excited to read more Sarah Gran. And I read Come Closer years ago. Oh my god, I'm on 1 bar battery. It's about to die. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave all the comments down below. Let me know if you have any priority books in 2024 that you need to read. I'd love to chat to you in the comments below. I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons and my One Piece channel members for support my channel. If you'd like to join my Patreon or my One Piece channel membership, then all the links are down in the description box. But yeah, I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye. Oh my god, it's about to die.